have a line drawn at the bottom, around the bottom of the stem, and we'll go in once this is dry and line that, and makes it look a little bit set into the apple. And then I have a khaki and territorial beige, and I'm going to go in with the territorial beige and just hit it with a little bit in the center and bring it out, and that's going to lighten up that brown, and it's going to help with the coverage. I've seen some people on one of my Facebook groups they're having issues with coverage and using primers and everything, and I have the same problems too. I just don't. Some people say that you can use primers, and I just don't, and I probably should, because it would save me time in the layers that I paint on. But then at the same time, I like doing the shading too, so it gives me that opportunity to put more paint down and blend a little bit more. So I covered it with the territorial beige a little bit. I'm going to go back in around the edges because I lightened it up a little bit too much. And I'm just lightly touching it all over. So the khaki is pretty light, so we're going to go in around the center and around the edges. Well, it's blending a little bit too much, you can't even tell. Let me get a different brush. There we go. Not too much, just a little. There we go. And there's our stem. And we'll come back and hit both of those in a little bit with the highlights. Oops. I know I've told a lot of people about this before, but I buy these at Walmart, and they're just sauce containers. You can get them in the aisle where you get like paper plates and stuff, and they've worked really well to keep your paints from drying out if you use a certain color lot. And like these are for black and whites, something that I use very often. So I found them, they're like $2.50 for a 50 pack. So they've worked really well for me. Just if you were wondering where I got my cups from. So now we're going to go in and start on the worm. And I love painting this worm. He's so much fun. He turns out really cute. So we're going to get the same colors that we did our leaf. This is the Christmas green, we got a marsh green, we got a kiwi, and we got the lime tree. So now you see that I've got the outline of the glasses on him. And let me grab a good brush. So for circles, whenever you're painting them and you're wanting to keep fine lines, actually use a square brush. And I know that doesn't seem like it'd make a lot of sense, but it gives you those sharp edges where you can keep it from getting too squiggly or whatever. So just the same as on the leaf, we're going to start with the darker colors on the edges. And I mixed a little bit of my marsh green and my Christmas green together, and we're going to go in and start getting this little guy painted. Now I'll work on the bottom first and then I'll work up, because if I start trying to paint him all, like I said, these paints dry so fast that I won't be able to get him blended very well. So we'll do the bottom of him first. Just working as quick as I can. Getting him covered with green. So this part, you can see I've got a few extra lines on here. This part's going to be like a light tan color, and then the back will be black, like he's going into the worm, to give it more of him just not sticking out a little apple. I'm going to go back in with my darker Christmas green around the edges and get those edges a good dark green. Alright, so we've got the bottom part lined out. I'm going to go in with my kiwi green, and you can see where I've mixed it before. I've done a few of these recently, so my colors are starting to mix together. That's okay. You're going to work in the shape of the worm. In the center, it's okay to kind of sweep it back and forth, but around the edges to get it blended in with those darker greens. Try to work in the curve of the worm. Get my edges while I'm down here. I know I just mixed that around the edge, but that's okay. So these are very light strokes I'm doing. I'm not pressing down very hard. I'm just barely touching, because if you press down too hard, you're going to go through your paint. And you just want to smear that paint on top. Go in with the Christmas green around the edges again. And you can see I do that several times, just back and forth, trying to get it till I think that it looks good. Alright, so now I've got that pretty much done. I want to hit it with a little bit of lighter in the center. So this is the lime tree. And I'm doing the really light brush strokes on top. Alright, so now we've got the bottom part of him done, and we're going to do the exact same thing all the way to the top. And whenever we get to the top, you're going to paint the whole head. Even though he's got glasses on, we're not painting these outside edges, because we'll hit those with a blue color to make it look like the lens of his glasses. So let's get to this part and work through it pretty quick. Okay, so got all my worms shaded and he's looking good. I'm gonna close up my paints. And we'll start working on the glasses and getting the bite taken out where the worm's crawling out of the apple. Get that started taken care of. He's kind of really wet right now, but I mean it'll take like a few minutes and it'll be dry, so I just don't want to hit any blues up here right now, because if we get just a hint of that green in there, it'll make it look ugly. So I think we're done with our greens for now. I don't think we'll have to go back in with any greens. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start right here, and this is going to be where the apple's exposed, and then this part's going to be black around the worm. So we'll go ahead and do, I'm going to be using khaki on for like the inside of the apple. So I'm going to need a smaller brush. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, I don't know the names of these brushes. I know this is a square one, and I don't know, I know ones like this are round, and that's about it. I don't pay attention. I just really just paint with what I grab. I should probably pay more attention. It'd probably help if I'm going to start doing more tutorials on this. So I apologize if I'm uneducated on this part. So whenever we get through painting before we go in and do lettering, I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you, I go back in with my darkest color that I've used and align my edges going around. So like this part I'll align with like the Tuscan red, and this I'll go around with the Christmas green. I'll line just where the edges are meeting another color. Now these parts I won't, around the edges of the actual worm on the outside of the wood, but on the inside I do line them because I think it gives it a nice crisp clean edge where those two paints are meeting. And we'll do that here in a few minutes. Alright. So we got the khaki put on there, and now we're going to go in with black and get that inner part done. Trying to keep my hand out of your guys' way so you can see. I wish whenever I got through painting, everything stayed as shiny as it does while the paint's wet. I just think it's so pretty. But whenever I get through painting on mine, I use Rust-Oleum glossy spray and do a clear coat over the top. And that way, if it is outside, it's going to protect it. But also it gives it just a little bit of a shine. It's not like a super glossy, thick coat. I just hit it once with it's like a spray can. Now I've used Krylon, and I've not had good experiences with the Krylon. I get spots that are thick, and it gets like a hazy look to it, and I just don't like how it turns out. And I noticed someone had commented on it the other day because someone had the same problems as I was having with it, and someone said maybe it was I was either spraying, or I didn't comment on it, but someone was either spraying too close to the door hanger, or if it's really humid outside, and I live in Tennessee, so it's humid all the time, and so maybe it's just not the right kind for me to use. But that's what I do whenever I'm finished with the door hanger to seal it. So, okay. We've got that done. We're going to let that dry, then we'll go back in and line it. Right now we're going to start on his glasses. And I'm got a, let's see, that's gray. I have a China blue that I really like to use on glasses because it's not white and it's not blue, like a dark blue. It's just a good thing to use for like any windows or any glass that you're trying to paint, or to make it look like glass, I guess. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to turn this so I have a better angle to paint my worm's glasses. You can see I probably had a glitter explosion in here yesterday. So for the next year, I'll have glitter all over everything, because it's impossible to clean that stuff off. And hit the edges too. So I do line my glasses with black to make it look like the frames, but I don't hit the edges with black because I try to keep the frames pretty thin. And if I try to go in and hit the edges with black and paint it like that, I'm going to have black paint everywhere. So I'll leave the edges blue on that part. Alright. Nice thick layer right here to cover all the wood. Alright, so now we're going to start on this side and do the same thing. Do about a half circle on it. I think the glasses really make him stand out and look super cute.